liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Francis,
I am present.
Mr. Young. No. Mr. Thomas.
Here.
Mr. Sari.
Here.
Mr. Snyder.
He's absent.
Mr. Kroll.
Here.
Mr. Hanson.
Here.
Mr. Erickson. Mr. Sendra.
Here.
Mrs. Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Thompson.
Here.
Mr. Hiller.
Here.
Mrs. McComas.
Here.
Miss Burns.
Here.
And Mr. Penardi.
Here. Acknowledge the meeting was properly called and posted.
Yeah, I'll certify that it was.
Then I need a motion to approve the minutes of June 29, 2021 as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ken, supported by Pat. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Communications.
The budget process has started. All the departments have their sheets. I told them that they can have August to work on it, September, have a meeting with your committee and pass it. And get it to me before the end of the month in September. And we talked about finance, we can move that till noon. So I'll get a hold of Scotty tomorrow and I'll tell you. That's all I got.
Okay. I had one letter from a concerned citizen, but I didn't forward it to the board because I disagree with it, so I'm gonna tell that individual to get the email addresses for the full board yourself and forward it on, because I don't want that statement to come from me. It's gonna come from, okay?
Can I ask why?
Because I don't agree with it.
Okay, I'll wait till public comment.
No other communications?
That's all I got.
Committee department heads and chairs report. Let's start off with Tom.
Stumpage as of today is $1,145,512.59. Last year was $897,405.06. So we're doing good.
We're ahead of the game.
Yes. Law enforcement, we haven't had a meeting. We talked to the sheriff. He says everything's going good.
Tom, can I add one more thing before?
Sure.
We have received all of our grant money now for Saxon Harbor. The only money we're waiting for right now is FEMA money for the marina and campground.
Good.
So we just got the last 182,000 a couple of weeks ago. So all of the DNR grants totaling about 1.6 million have came in the last 2 months. So we're just waiting on FEMA.
How is the FEMA site coming along? I mean, it's.
Both projects are at FEMA,
Yeah.
under review, and FEMA works on their own schedule.
Right, yeah.
But
As far as
that,
all the paperwork is filled out the way they need it, it's just just them getting to it.
I'm waiting on them to review it and then come back to me with questions or concerns. So we're owed about 239,000 on the campground yet from them. And assuming the marina claim is all approved, it would be about just a hair under 5 million for the marina.
Let me add something. Our sales tax this year through July is 79,000 more than last year. Just keeps going up. This July was like 61,000. That's the highest it's ever been. So I'm thinking we'll hit 600,000 this year. And I only had 510,000 in the budget. So it keeps going up. Okay.
That's all I have.
That's all you have? Okay.
Eric, I got a quick question for you.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of conversation about, a lot of ideas about trying to get some access to the beach.
Yep.
You know, steps, Murph
Yep.
brought up some kind of floating dock system.
Yep.
But you know, there's a natural path that actually goes down there right now, just outside of that rail.
Yep.
And it's perfect. It actually gets almost right to the beach, and then there's that big riprap. Is there any way that you think that maybe we could get something to like a bulldozer to push some of that rock so the step, and kind of continue that
Not-
path?
Not within where any of the rock is at, because that's without permits from Army Corps.
Okay, is that where that lands?
That's within.
Okay,
that's
just
within the
wondering,
lake-
because
lake
it's
footprint.
yeah, it's literally perfect up until that one point, and I just thought, boy, if we could just punch a quick hole through there, but,
Yep, that would be under the purview of Army Corps.
okay. All right. Just wondering. Maybe nature will take its course and just keep making it better
There you go.
with enough foot traffic.
There you go. If we were to build wooden steps down there, and how
Yeah.
often would they actually be washed out
They-
to make us
I don't
replace
think
them?
they're gonna last. With the type
Might
of
last a
rain
year,
we're
might
getting
last a
lately,
week.
Be like Duluth.
yeah. For whatever reason, that path is so much really good.
So, just to give you an update, we have a couple lots in our industrial park we've been trying to sell. We thought we were pretty close to getting some new businesses in. However, with a closer look and reading covenants and government grants a little more closely, we come upon a cluster. Not completely bad because legally we're going to get these lots back. And there is a person who's interested in both, so hopefully by one of the next meetings or so, we'll have some good news about new tenants. New owners. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with zoning. We're way ahead. We're about 130 permits ahead of last year. On septics, buildings and everything, and so we're way, and with the extra help in the offices and helping them out.
Good.
They're getting a little more caught up in some of the pumping that we were behind on. That takes care of that. And basically, that's all for zoning. And then the airport, everybody see the paper. They picked out Denver Air for service. But all the griping and everything that's been coming in as far as hauling luggage, hauling skis. Maybe this is the service we need.
Yeah,
They got a 30 passenger plane and a 50 passenger plane that they're gonna be coming in with. The 50, I think, is gonna run Chicago Loop, and the 30 is gonna run
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
Are they gonna have a route down to Colorado at all? Are they gonna have a connection to like Denver?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, okay.
Out of Chicago.
Yeah, they're based out of
Denver Air.
Denver Air. They're based right
Yeah, I
Yes, sir.
didn't know if they have a direct flight from Ironwood to Denver, or do we have to roll through like O'Hare?
I think you got it.
Yeah,
I would think, because I
We
flew
don't know.
I've been there.
It's still in there.
They only go from Ironwood to
Major
Chicago
hubs.
or Minneapolis either way. You have to get a connecting flight, but that's still close.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna go a little faster for us because they have a hub at O'Hare. They have a hub at
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, so they're all set up there. And Thief River Falls, they're flying in and out both ways to both of them now. As far as,
The airport committee recommended Denver Air. How long before they know if that recommendation?
the letter went in yesterday, we should know by probably the 1st of September.
Okay. That's the recommendation to the,
Yeah,
what is it, the DOT or whoever is in charge of it. Okay. They should listen to you.
recycling, the only thing we have on board now is for the 28th, we're gonna try and make that collection as big as we can. Get in everything that we can, so it's not on the streets and curbside. So everybody, keep reminding everybody on the 28th of August, that's collection day.
What are they collecting, Pat?
Tires, white goods, TVs,
Metals,
yeah,
TVs or anything?
There, I don't know if Joe's got any more.
I've got a poster on the board up there,
Okay.
if you want to take a copy of that after a while. The one we do in Hurley and Mercer at the same time.
Yes. And that's about all I have for recycling.
That's good. Opal.
Okay, in finance, Stacy said that we'd received a grant in the amount of $89,500 for the county. Mitch Olson was present to ask if the county would be willing to back a bond issue for the installation of fiber in Iron County, and he's here tonight to present that subject, number 11. We gave Bill Nacy permission to proceed with the repairs needed at the Hurley Senior Center building. The total cost will be approximately $50,000. We also approved the purchase of a new tractor with lawnmower, snow blower, and bucket attachment. So we should get some work done.
Boy, that's a waste of money.
Why?
Why? Why do we need a tractor?
Because we mow the lawn a lot.
Well, that's a little bit bigger than a regular tractor.
It has a snow blower and a bucket attachment to do
Right.
the work.
For snow too.
Yeah. To
For
move
For
snow.
snow, it's a joke. I mean, we might as well all piss away money. If you're gonna do it, that is stupid.
No, I disagree.
Yes, I don't care what you disagree with me.
I disagree with that.
I mean,
I did ask that question,
thought
Tom,
we-
should that have been a full board
I
decision?
thought we were upgrading a pickup truck to put a plow.
I mean, last year we
We have a
just,
plow, but there's some places aren't convenient to plow with all those buildings.
That I get, but, okay.
where?
At those buildings, there's some places you just don't have a place to push it.
Why did we buy a 1-ton pickup with plow
We're
on?
still plowing this parking lot.
Well, you can plow that other with a plow.
There's 4 other buildings now. Just remember, we don't have one building anymore.
It's a waste. It's a waste.
We can agree to disagree.
Every committee I'm on, and we're spend money galore. I could give a shit. Right now, I could give a shit. You have finance can just spend it the way they love. That is a waste of money.
The money for this is gonna come out of that recovery money from,
Yeah, but we're paying for that anyways. That's coming out of taxes.
yeah. That and the money for the senior center repair, that was coming out of that also.
I don't know what's wrong.
In human services, there was a discussion about differences of opinion on how human services was being run among the committee members, and that took up part of our meeting. One member stated we needed to be supportive of human services any way we can. The part of the new state budget subsidized guardianships will now be paid for by the state. This is currently being paid for out of the tax levy. Callie addressed the questions the county board members had asked Human Services and DCF. DCF said that the questions presented were questions that Human Services could answer, and you have a handout tonight on the questions that were presented, and Callie went through each one of them and answered each one of them and included DCF's letter.
So this is from Cal. It's not
That's from-
signed and I wondered who wrote it.
No, that's from, yeah, this is from Callie and DCF.
Yeah, that was the response from DCF directly, that I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Or Ken,
well, Callie had a response,
were Ken,
but this is DCF's response,
were Ken and I the only ones that submitted questions?
apparently.
apparently.
Okay.
Apparently you are the only two there. Mike said, what's this to me for? I didn't know that was the other side.
Well, she was hoping for a lot more input.
She was.
That's too bad.
The ADRC aging bus has been delivered, and they're in the process of determining its usage and routes. The Hurley Meal site will be open on Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting August 24th, and will be limited to 30 diners each day. All others will open in September if staffing positions are filled. Currently, I think they have 3 positions that need to be filled. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Nothing from Northern Waters Library Service?
No, not particularly.
When was the last meeting up there?
We had a second Saturday. of this
Okay,
month.
you're the person off the board. Who is the citizen representative for your county? Or do they not have that?
They
anymore?
don't have it, they just have the county member.
Okay.
That's all?
Mm-hmm.
Bill?
Memorial Building is back to having the chamber do the scheduling. And we've been busy with weddings the last 3 weekends now. And that's all I have on the Memorial Building. Extension had a successful camp down at Brule. Nobody got drowned or anything like that.
No storm.
Good.
Well, they did have a rainstorm the last day or something like that. No tornadoes this year.
Good luck.
But we have an extension meeting tomorrow, so we'll find out more.
That's right.
That's all I have.
I have nothing.
That's it. Public comment.
Joe, I can start. So, first and foremost, for anybody who does not know me, my name is Dr. Malia Cummings. I'm a clinical psychologist and I was born and raised here. Have been back now since 2010. So I first reached out to the board in 2018 in regards to what's going on with human services. Not necessarily specific to human services, but the cost of the amount of money that we are spending on out-of-home placements. And one of the things that came up out of that was the addition of North Lakes, which is really beautiful and wonderful in terms of what we need here. Because as a small county, there are very few of us in terms of availability for mental health. Okay, and so that's just something that we know. And we also know that unfortunately, small rural counties struggle with significantly higher suicide rates. So I'll just state that. Now, Joe mentioned earlier that I brought him a letter. And I brought him a letter based on I think it was the June 29th meeting that I watched online here. And what happened in that letter, and without going into great detail, I will say that I was incredibly disturbed by what was stated here. And much of those statements were made about human services from our board, our human services chair here. I'm not going to get into great details of those things, and whoever would like a copy of that letter, I would encourage you, and I will give you the letter that I gave to the board in 2018 as well. Primarily because what seems to be happening here is there is a significant misconception. And I think misconception, and there's now stories being created. You know, so frankly, I am here and I want to be really clear about my intention. My intention is to take literally my knowledge and my skill and give back in that way. You know? I don't need to add more things to my list of things to do. But what I'm incredibly, incredibly invested in is creating a county. And I think of Gogebic County in this way too. We're the Northwoods, you know? Truth be told, our mental health systems don't always work very well. And it doesn't have to be that we are, you know, that we see people in the mental health field just for help. I mean, oftentimes those things used to come from our communities, whether it be faith-based things, whether it be groups, whatever it is. But what I'm most disturbed by were the statements around the fact that, because I am the one who called Opal. I am that one, I am that human that she was talking about. None of the things that she's talking about were said. None of those things. I am not here, I am not out for Callie, I am not out for anybody in any specific way. But I am here to say that our system as it currently is failing our people. And we're inadvertently creating, unfortunately, more trauma for our families, for our kiddos, and we're not working together as a system that is running efficiently and effectively. And what scares me here, Mr. Pinardi, is the fact that as the chair, my expectation would be as a citizen that you give the information necessary for these people to make good decisions
You let
for
me-
us.
Let me explain to you why I did not hand it on.
I would like,
Because
I
your
would like some
statement, your
understanding.
statement in there said that this person that you're talking about was a flat out liar. And I don't feel that way about this person.
well, how do you, it isn't a matter of what you feel, sir. It's a matter of
I
what
don't
is
agree with the fact that you call her a liar. If you want to call her a liar, then you call her on your own terms. I'm not
What
gonna
was
give
the
that
stated
information
were
to the board.
lies? How would, here's how this
Is there a
goes.
time limit on this?
Yeah, I think there
I
is.
think there is.
I'm wondering for a moment, because just a few weeks ago, you guys sat and you listened to an individual who lives here and back and forth from Florida recite everything from a gun sanctuary document, which is fine. But my question is, why are we asking the questions? Why are we so defensive around this? When this is our county and what we're trying to do for our constituents is the best thing we possibly can, which is ultimately, and thinking about our jobs here.
What do you want?
Malaya, I'm gonna,
No, not at all. I
Okay,
want
then, be quiet.
Malaya, I will see to it that you are given the email addresses for the full board.
I have them.
Okay, then I suggest you email them the letter you gave me.
I shall. I shall.
Thank you. Thank you
How
for your,
about me?
I would like
thank you
to
for your
ask.
public comment.
Go ahead, sir. What were you saying?
And thank you for your public comment. Does anyone else have any public
Yeah, I do.
comment?
Not,
John,
yeah, thank you.
John, first of all, if you got, public comment is not for the board members. it's for
Oh,
the public.
okay.
I hate to remind you about that, but that's what
Well, I
it is.
was just going to respond to her. Tommy spoke up, a few others spoke up. Board members were not hushed, so may I speak on their time or at least say, we support you. Not everybody is against what you said, okay? After a certain amount of time, when failure is identified over a number of years, there's got to be some fire where there's smoke. That's
I
all I'm going to
appreciate
add.
that, and I would like to add, if it's possible, just one more thing. I asked Opal on the phone when I called her back, because first and foremost, I wanted to approach her as a professional in the community. I was not going to put that out to all of you, because I think that that is absolutely the way to go. If something was going on with me, I would prefer that somebody bring it to me. But one of the things that I also understand is that not one person on the Human Services Board that holds a substantial amount of power has any kind of experience in human services, social services, mental health services, all of those things. And so all I'm saying here, I don't want a job. That's not why I'm here. I want our constituents to thrive. And that is my final word.
Thank you for your public comment.
Thank you.
By the way, congratulations on your election to Montreal
Oh,
City Council.
yes, thank you, sir.
I don't know if anybody is aware she got elected to the city council in Montreal.
For what?
Just recently, the most recent one.
Any other public comment? Hearing none, let's move along. Approve the 2021 to 2025 recreation plan for the forestry department.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bill.
Second.
Seconded by Ken. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approve the 3-year contract for the sheriff's deputies.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Motion by Tanner, seconded by Tom. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Discussion and possible action on request from Bug Tussle Wireless Services for county financial commitment to run fiber project within Iron County. Here's the guy that's gonna tell us what they're doing.
Yeah, that's me. If the binders, a number of you have already seen before, but there's a new kind of information packet on the front of it. So our ask has changed slightly in the scope of what we are doing with our fiber, but the overall pitch is still largely the same. So for those of you that weren't at the broadband committee meeting or the finance committee meeting last month, my name is Mitch Olson. I'm with Bug Tussle Wireless. We're an internet service provider out of Green Bay. In the past, primarily, we've worked with fixed wireless technologies. We've worked primarily with fixed wireless technologies. We partnered with Iron County in the past for grants to install broadband equipment on some towers that we hold in Iron County. Those will be up in September, and that was phase 1 of our plan. What I passed out to you now and what I'm here to discuss is phase 2, which is the installation of a fiber route. If you look at the last page of kind of the loose packet, or the last 2 pages, I should say, that is what we're looking at for the route of our fiber, is 108.3 miles of fiber optic cable. That'll serve a number of purposes for us. Fiber is a very important piece of the fixed wireless network because it enables higher speeds and more reliability. We're also going to plug in the users along that route, so fiber to the premises will be available to individuals who happen to live on that blue line. If you look at the last page, that is a dot for every address in Iron County. So based on that map, there's 888 residents or addresses located, or 844, excuse me, residents located along that route that we will plug in with fiber directly to their house. So that will be 1 gigabit worth of service. The fixed wireless will be available at 100 megabits per second, all of which are substantial upgrades for what the majority of Iron County can get as we sit today. The project is pretty substantial in cost. The total scope is on the first page of the document is $7,040,175. We submitted today an application to the PSC for a grant to cover $1.4 million of that project. So we're scheming about how we're going to fund the remaining $5.6 million so that we can put that fiber in the ground and plug in Iron County. Our plan for the remainder of those funds, or the totality of those funds in the event we're not awarded the grant through the PSC, is a bond initiative we call the Road to Digital Equality. That is a statewide bonding issuance where participating counties opt in to our program and effectively co-sign on the money that we are borrowing. It does count against Iron County's debt obligation or general obligation, but Bug Tussle will be responsible for all the payments that are made against the debt. In the event Bug Tussle goes under, the debt is first secured by all the assets we're putting in. It's then secured by the remainder of Bug Tussle's assets, including all the towers we own in Iron County, and the rest of Wisconsin and Iowa. And in the event both of those fail, would be the only situation in which Iron County would be left holding the debt.
What's the net worth of your assets?
We put out a financial statement. I didn't bring a copy of that with me. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 250 million at this point. We did a little over $65 million in revenue last year, and this year we'll hook up 100. The pandemic has been very good to internet providers. There's a lot of money coming in from a lot of sources to continue investments at a percentage, depending on how much you can get funded with grants and other things. But we're in a really good spot. We're growing significantly, and this looks to be our next step.
Are you operating at a net operating profit or loss?
Yes.
Profit.
That 100 million is the profit.
Okay.
Where does your fiber hook up to?
Our fiber hookups at this point, we run from Green Bay to Wabeno, Green Bay down to Madison is kind of our main route. We have a couple pieces here and there.
In Green Bay?
Our hub is in Madison.
Your hub's in Madison.
Yep. Yes, sir.
So currently, we are going, well, CenturyLink is not providing the best possible service with Northwoods here. And about 2 years ago, they put in all this fiber optics and all the little cabinets and things of that nature. And everything was supposed to really improve, and it's fallen right down the wrapper. And now the rumors are that CenturyLink will be out of business before too long. What is different about Bug Tussle that gives us as end users the confidence to say that you're going to be better?
The people, largely. CenturyLink is a big company that kind of lost touch. They are historically a phone company. They have kind of a territorial mindset, and they like to put their flag on their area. They have the Iron County, in this case, captive, and they know that they don't have to improve the service because you guys don't have any other options. We're founded in 2003, so we've been here for a while, but we're young enough that we don't have any territory that's exclusively ours. We're going into places that no one else wants to serve, that no one else is willing to serve. We're making the investment, and ultimately, we don't last if we don't provide a good product. We'll go the way of CenturyLink. So we're small enough that we care a lot. I'm from Phillips. Our founder is from a farm in rural Manitowoc County. Is where we have a lot of pride for a small town, Wisconsin.
Let me give you one test question.
Yes, sir.
Are you open on the weekends?
I'm open on the weekends. I haven't stopped working in like 15 days.
We've had,
Your call center is not in China, or the?
Nope, our call center is on the third floor. I don't go over there very often, but there were people there all weekend and nights.
when you have a business in Iron County and you have problems with your internet and your phone system, and They do things like, on their cabinets, they take off the cabinet and cover it with plastic, and every time it rains, I can't get a voicemail. How do you fix a problem like that?
I can't tell you how CenturyLink is gonna fix their problem, but to answer your question is we do have real live people 24/7. There's not a phone tree available if you call any of the Bug telephone numbers. They all ring direct people and
I've been brushing up on my Asian languages. So.
Sure. You're better than me. I only know the one.
So you mentioned, oh, great, go ahead.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Ann.
Are we providing, how are we providing more internet to more people? Is it by expanding the range, adding towers, or are you making it more affordable to poorer people?
All of the above. So through the previous grant application, we're installing broadband equipment on 9, Kelly can fact check that, on 9 towers through Iron County. So people within range of those towers will have improved access immediately. 25 megabits down and 5 megabits up for $50 a month is the commitment we made through the grant program.
And that's line of sight connection?
I believe it's LTE up here.
It's LTE.
Yeah, it varies by county. But
Which is a little better than last time.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't require, so LTE typically performs better in wooded areas because you don't have to be as concerned about leaves and things. But there's definitely a range, as the towers are only so effective for so far, but we put 9 of them up and it'll cover a pretty decent part of Iron County's population.
As far as the match, you're talking about doing bond financing?
We're talking about doing bond.
Are you looking at like geo bonds, revenue bonds, or you're with Iron County trying to do a muni?
Exclusively with Iron County trying to do a municipal bond.
Okay.
So Fond du Lac County is the issuing county. They approved their resolution this afternoon, so they're all the way signed up. They guaranteed their portion of the debt, and they are technically the issuing county. So Iron County signs a intergovernmental agreement to agree or to guarantee just Iron County's portion of the debt, and then the bonds are issued and sold as a package.
So when you mentioned basis points on 10 and 40, 10 basis points is 1/10 of 1%, 40 basis points is 4/10 of 1%. 4/10 of 1% of what?
The 10 basis points are just for Fond du Lac County is on the entire amount of the bond. 40 basis points for Iron County on the amount outstanding of the Iron County bond in particular. So if the bond is issued at the full 7 million, assuming that we don't get the grant, it's roughly $40,000 in the first year, and that diminishes as the debt's paid down.
Okay, so that's
It's
where
not
the 4/10
interest.
is coming from. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
What about underwriting costs? Who covers those?
It's baked in to the bond issuance amount. But
Excuse me, you were answering my question.
I was. The fiber, it gets a little into the weeds, and I'm a lawyer, not an RF technician, but the way that the towers communicate with one another is through a microwave dish, and the microwave wavelengths have a certain capacity. So although they could do the same speeds without the fiber connection, they couldn't do it at the volume. So if you plug those towers into fiber, you can increase the volume and have more users using more data simultaneously than if you're relying on microwave. So in reality, within our towers, we sign people up for 25 and 5 because we can guarantee that's what you're gonna get because of how our towers are configured. But the reality is those towers can produce faster service, but it would just have a tendency to be combative with your neighbors who you're sharing that internet connection with. So once the fiber is there, there's less restriction there because the fiber capacity is so much greater than the microwave capacity. So it's just a better product in the end.
So on this map, are you saying that everybody with a computer or a tablet or a cell phone is going to be able to find a connection?
What I'm saying on
Right.
yeah, we're still a company. We still have to sell our product, but every blue dot along the light blue route will be available for a 1 gigabit fiber connection, which is what everyone is looking for as we sit today. That's where the technology is going. The towers that are up in September will increase everyone's or not everyone, will increase most people's options as we sit until fiber to the premises gets everywhere, which is the federal government's goal.
So down the road, if you were to, you see it in business all the time, you build something to sell it. So if you were to sell it to another company, would everything still be honored? Contracted? If you go under and somebody else buys you out, everything's, it's fiber, so somebody else can step in and integrate into the system and continue, everything just don't die right there with you.
Correct. Everything is sold as a whole. The bonds guarantee the assets. And so in this case, we're not even allowed to sell it until the bond's paid off.
I guess I'd like to see this map compared to what we have now, because I'd like to
The
be.
red areas on
Yes.
that map are provided by the PSC that indicate areas where there is no internet coverage. Well, no is an exaggeration, that indicate areas where there's less than 25 megabits download speeds. So those, according to the Wisconsin Public Service Commission, are areas that internet needs to improve in Iron County. And as you can see, it's most of it.
Okay. I do not understand the financing of this. It appears to be coming from three places, the WPC, PSC grants, the RDOF coordination, and our opt-in bond issuance. I'm glad, Ken, you understand what opt-in bond is. I do not. What I'd like to know is why are we considering this service now when there is an infrastructure bill going through Congress right now?
Why would you consider this bill? Is because this bill is here for you today. I don't know what Congress is going to do tomorrow. I don't know when Congress is going to make time for Iron County, Wisconsin. I can tell you when bug tussle is. And although it's a big number, the reality of the situation is fiber is expensive. It costs $60,000 and up a mile to put in. So to cover even our 108-mile track through Iron County is going to cost us $7 million to do. There's a lot of money floating around through grants. There's a company called LTD Broadband that was awarded a bunch of federal money to do a similar project to this. If you'd like to hold out hope for LTD Broadband to do the things they promised within the 10-year window that they promised they'd do it, that's your prerogative, but we're here to do it sooner than that because it's high time that you guys don't wait for internet any longer.
When's your application deadline for you guys, for grant? They just passed
The grant was submitted today.
Yeah, because I think the deadline was July 27th.
That's today, at 4 o'clock.
That's why I was just joking.
Yep, I sent it in.
But in the email, it does mention some risks involved for the county. I did email that, or did read that for you, Michael. What are some of those risks? I don't know if you.
The biggest
Well, if they go under,
I mean, I'm just wondering what those are, because it was said in your email, there were risks, and I just,
there's no guarantees on anything.
we can adopt the,
If they finish the whole project and everything's in the ground, all the towers are up, at least you got an asset. If they don't even finish before they go under, you have zip, more or less, other than the towers.
What do you have here now?
What's that?
What do you have for towers here now?
What do you have for towers in Iron County? I think there's the 9 that are being fit with broadband. I want to say there's 15 total. I'd have to look.
I think it's 15.
And you are building more towers?
Yep, there's one in Tyler Forks that has some power issues, so that one's taking longer, and there's one in Springstead that we're having some landowner issues. We had to move it, so that one got reset schedule-wise. That's one of the 9 though.
This funny, I get it, that the broadband, the issue we have with internet connectivity is terrible, and I get it.
Yep.
What is, besides the fact that our residents will have better access, what other benefits does Iron County get? Or is it all the indirect, because you're gonna get the revenues. We're on the hook for the bond if you are gone.
Sure.
So what other intangible benefits does Iron County get out of it?
The biggest thing we're giving Iron County is the 40 basis points. So I guess that's the most tangible.
Yeah.
There's also, we're putting in 144 fibers, and we're reserving 24 of those for exclusively for Iron County's use, and you guys will have free internet access off that too. So when it comes to planning the specific route, if there's town halls or highway departments or this building that we want to make sure we're passing so that it's valuable to the county, we'll have a planning session and talk about what things we need to pass for the county's benefit. So one of the big things is having a voice in the process. We don't just want to come and throw the fiber at you and say, you're welcome. We want to be a partner with Iron County to put the fiber where you guys need it for both the county's needs, where we need it for residents, where we need it for the cell towers is where we need it, which is going to facilitate cell connections, which are kind of overlooked in this whole broadband expansion thing. But at the end of the day is we want to work with Iron County, and we'll give you both the cash and a voice and 24 fibers.
How long of a term are you going on the bond?
30 years.
30?
The fiber is theoretically going to last forever until we can travel faster than light speed, which Opal has heard me say many times.
So again, you look at the risk that you're a new company and it sounds like you're doing awesome, but 30 years, just keep that in mind. That's a long time for the bond to be out there.
Yep.
After 30 years, it's fully due.
Correct. At the end of the day, as I can tell you, the assets are going to be worth well more than what we're paying to put them in. especially as operating. Once they're plugged into the network, once they're good to go, you could sell them to anybody. That's gonna save all the cost of putting them in. That's gonna have all the customers connected to it already.
With the risk of obsolescence.
To an extent, yep. There's always risk, but at the end of the day, it's, if Iron County wants to move forward, we're here to help them do that.
Gotcha.
Have any other counties besides Fond du Lac actually signed up, to go all the way in?
We submitted
Or were they
12
first?
12 grant applications, the majority of which are expected to participate in the bond issuance. Iron County is one of those, so granted, we're still kind of at the doorstep of full participation. We're still talking about it. Haven't signed you guys up for anything yet. But Fond du Lac County is the only one that's prepared the resolution and fully committed. That said, we should be at 10 to 12.
And you said you have projects in Iowa that are already completed?
We have cell tower construction in Iowa.
Okay, so this is basically breaking ground on the fiber optic.
Correct. We pulled fiber assets from Madison to Green Bay up to Leona, actually. I think technically we always say Urbino for some reason. But yeah, the fiber is kind of a new venture for us because the industry pivoted to an extent. This fixed wireless, hands down, is much more efficient at doing the things that need to be done in Iron County, for example, is it provides a sufficient level of internet. Is 25, or Netflix streams at 5 megabits. And so if you have 25, you can have 4 users streaming Netflix simultaneously without noticing an issue. That said, the federal government changed their mind. They want, at a minimum, 100 download and 100 upload speeds, and they're throwing piles and piles of grant money at it to make it happen. So with that grant money, the industry has to pivot. We're going to find a way to do fiber to the premises for literally everybody. And so that's the direction we're pivoting with.
Kelly, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I was, mentioned they're gonna go fiber to the home, 144,
844.
844 homes.
844 homes along the existing middle mile route.
So, but over and above that, your middle mile for further expansion. For instance, you could go down County G all the way out to Long Lake if you wanted to.
Correct. That's, as I mentioned, that's where this is going, is there's going to be a piece of fiber in the ground down every roadside to every house in the entire country if the federal government gets its way. So this is our first step in that process, is we need to build our infrastructure to the point where we can develop it sufficiently to do fiber to the premises everywhere that needs fiber to the premises. So this is our first bite at the apple. We're trying to build out our infrastructure piece throughout Wisconsin so we can finish plugging people in after we get through that, which is why we will commit to plugging the people in all along our route now, but the next phase of the project is kind of the next phase of the project. So once we get everything connected, all 844 people connected here, that's where the next opportunity for expansion comes. Whether that's us, whether that's LTD, if they decide they want to move on their RDOF money, however it works down the road, is fiber's going to be everywhere.
Yeah, see Boulder Junction, they put it in every single home and taxed and put it on the tax bill. If you used it, you paid for it, you didn't put it in. But they have it on every single home.
Right, everyone's going to get there. Boulder Junction was very forward. They bonded for it themselves and just went off with it.
So that's basically what we're doing here.
To an extent, except for we're making,
844 homes versus.
except for we're making the payments on the bonds. So you just
What is
sit and
the-
watch until we go under.
What is the cost to a person who has never had broadband before and now would like to pay you for that service?
I believe for the gig service, we said in our grant application, $100 a month. I would have to confirm that though. So the fixed wireless is 50 and the fiber home would be 100.
So does it work when the power goes out?
I don't know.
Because now if you have an old style phone at your house and the power goes out, you have up to an hour and 20 minutes before the phone battery backup system dies. So last night, I don't have internet without my little box.
Right.
I couldn't call the power company and tell them my power was out.
I'm gonna guess that no, it doesn't work when the power is out because
other people did though.
because your modem wouldn't work when the power was out.
Right.
Your router wouldn't work when the power is out. So if you had a generator, it might. But again, just a lawyer, I don't know the tech side.
When would you be actually installing fiber to the premises?
Within the next 3 years.
And if we look at it, like, the interest rates right now, this would be the best time cost-wise as far as interest on the bonds is gonna go. I would imagine it'd be a call provision on the bonds, but I doubt it would get exercised, the rates are just gonna go up anyway, so cost wise, this would be the best time to do the bond.
Which is specifically why we're targeting
Right.
this as our option, is with this bond issuance, which we've done in the past, but having the municipal guarantee on it, our rate's 3 3/8 roughly.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're getting that money on the market, it's, I don't know, 10 or 15%, because this is overwhelmingly the most affordable capital system that we found.
That's the best time to do it.
Right.
Joe, the COVID response money that we're going to get, can that go towards these
No.
payments?
No.
No,
The slum wars.
Tractors.
Well, what do you think, Tom?
Does anybody talk to any other counties that have this implemented?
well, they haven't really implemented it. I spoke
In the infancy.
I spoke with
stages.
Fond du Lac, I spoke with Jackson, I spoke with Wood.
I mean, as far as we're representing our people, what does everybody in the county think about this? I mean, I don't know if it should be up to us, 15 people on a board to put the county on the hook for 30 years. We typically don't do that anyway when it comes to these huge.
But I don't think the people themselves can provide the service themselves.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'd
No,
like some
we
input
should
from the
have-
community on if, I'm gonna go back to Saxon and say, hey, I'm gonna ask everybody I see at the post office, what do you guys think? Should we do this? That's just my opinion, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't wanna,
You're great, Carl, it's a big, big
I
commitment.
mean, it's a 30-year commitment, it's only 7 million, I mean,
If you're, I mean,
we got 14 at Saxon.
Hey,
Harbor,
yeah,
right?
BMO's just fine.
That's what I was.
There's most of it right there.
But I don't wanna, I'm not gonna be here in 30 years, I guarantee you
I'm not
that.
going to.
I mean,
I don't think most of us.
No, I do on that.
I've got-
Somebody just might still be around.
Yeah, you may be.
well,
30 years.
You have to wheel me in for a chair.
Yeah, you would need to be
they should
sitting
be
right
paying, they live in Minneapolis, they wanna move here.
yeah, I think
They
that's
can't get
a,
not internet.
what Carl's bringing up is a really good point, because we're implying there's a demand for this. Just because the service isn't there right now, it sucks. I feel bad that people don't have it, but are we hearing the outrage for everybody who doesn't have service, like, oh, we gotta have this, or I'm moving out of here? Are we hearing specifically people are knocking on?
Wasn't there a broadband, Kelly, you do a broadband study, or I mean survey? I've gotten the emails, right? I filled one out.
Yeah.
Before, how does that, okay, so we're,
You have people in the county who have moved here and are working here, really good jobs, who would like to stay here, and they're gonna need this service. You've got engineers, you've got medical people, people working for Marshall Clinic, Epic, Aurora Healthcare, all kinds of different stuff, all throughout the county.
That they're here now,
They're here now.
but they're gonna leave if we don't get this, or will we get more people come in?
They're the ones who are demanding this high
Okay.
speed. They're the ones who need the gigabyte.
Okay, gotcha.
They're the ones who are transferring all this data. You and I, we can get by on.
Yeah,
In all reality, we should get more people coming,
when was the
If they
last
can find the
survey
house.
done, Kelly?
you would think.
Is that yearly? I can't remember.
No, we don't.
It'll be coming out in the next month.
The next one to fill out.
The results.
The
from
Oh, the
one
results.
we did last
Oh,
time.
okay, gotcha.
How soon do you need an answer?
This is just up for discussion today, I'll be back in a month.
Go get back,
In
Ryan.
a month?
So there's,
If I'm
we
on the
could, so Michael, we could adopt the grant application resolution. That doesn't put us on the hook for anything?
It's already been submitted. We just
Oh.
went with a letter of support from Kelly, but conceptually,
Well,
exactly
send
right.
us email, we want-
Well, that email is wrong. Yeah, at this point, we submitted the application because it was too good of a deadline to miss with the monies that are gonna be available. But we came back today to continue to discuss, and again, obviously Iron County's not signed up for anything yet, still in the discussion phases, and
Okay.
technically not even up for action today.
Okay.
What's the time frame on this?
We'd like to get the bonds issued before the end of the year. Optimistically, we wanted to get the bonds issued before you guys went into budget mode at the end of the year. So we wanted, ideally, our answers were gonna come in July and August, which technically we're still on pace for it with you guys.
How long would it take us to put a mail out survey out to get it somewhat answered, and make sure we're not You know, like you did the broadband survey that they got on the wall out there.
Well, that's a big expense, Joe.
Yeah, it is.
Well,
And it
$7
takes
million
time.
is a pretty big expense.
Probably cheaper than a tractor.
Rails too.
Yeah, don't get the tractor and we can afford to do it.
That's a big expense and you'll never get it done in a month. You could hold a public hearing.
Yeah.
So I said,
Why don't we
public
do that?
hearing.
Why don't we do that and
And
try and
have
get an answer?
Someone like him attend,
I can be there.
And publicize it on the radio
Yeah.
and the TV.
and the papers.
And both
And the
newspapers,
Thank you for saying that.
both newspapers.
Gotcha.
We should.
Yeah, I think it's fair, as long as people have a notice that, hey, if we decide to go through with this as a county, we are given the opportunity for input on this. I agree, we can't make the decision, just the 15 of us saying, let's go forward or let's nix it. We need much more public input.
And I think the demand is gonna be there. I just don't wanna speak on behalf of my 700 residents.
Right.
There's 600, I don't know how many people live up there.
True.
Winter, summer.
The one point I want to kind of reiterate,
I'll word you around out there.
and I know that you all understand, but that it's a backdoor obligation for the county. So it only comes up in the event we go under, we make the payments on it. So it's just kind of a looming threat. And so if you could sell it that way, I would appreciate it.
And there's interest agreement
To,
the county.
yes, yep, it'll be budget positive for the county because we'll pay you cash for your trouble.
Good. Okay. They got that in their packet.
I can send out
I don't
a,
think so,
Is that this thing where it says payment by year?
yeah,
Yeah.
for 30 years.
That's the one.
That's what you pay us?
yes,
Oh, the right-hand column is what you pay out?
correct.
Who's holding the balance sheet? Buck Tessel's.
Is it almost
Buck Tessel
400,000 at
Wireless
the
is the
398.
balance holder with the
That's
county,
the right,
with the county adopting that to allow him to get funding.
Yes,
He needs our signature to get that funding.
correct. Is the number on the top of that sheet 8.4?
Actually, it's 6.4.
6.4.
I don't know, what is
It's,
the,
it's 5.4 now, so those payments technically went down, that's from the last meeting.
oh, okay.
I didn't-
It was in my board
5.4,
packet, so
nope,
that's what I'm
100%.
getting now.
It's just, we've pushed these things around a lot and we'll continue to do so as the plan gets further developed, but as far as rough numbers go, yes, that sheet is
It was in
roughly
the
what we're
board
paying.
packet.
Why don't we have a public hearing, like, the night of our next board meeting, we'll have it starting in the afternoon. Several, an hour or so before the meeting and
Absolutely, that's
go right
it.
into a meeting. Would that be okay?
Sure.
Would that be enough time for us?
Should we go to the memorial building so there'd be more room for public? Or
I don't know.
this is probably more well-known as the.
Probably more well-known and we have more
Here's the 6.4.
access here, but we don't have any Zoom access or nothing there. Now we're doing the
Yeah.
YouTube TV thing too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we might get a lot of that.
We'll make it a lot, we have call-ins on that available, maybe we could even have that available too. Danny, would that be something we could do? Have call-ins on here too, so people could call in, give response for that?
yes, it is possible.
Okay. Let's go forward with the public hearing then. 2 hours before the board meeting, would that be enough time?
Should be.
Should be.
So 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock on the night of the next board meeting.
So on this sheet,
Yes, sir.
showing the payments, we're showing the balance is decreasing, so on the bond issuance, you're paying interest and principal.
The principal only on the bond, or interest only on the bonds for the first 3 years and then principal and interest payments coming forward. That's the back of the envelope math, it'll get finer as we get closer, but
31st. Okay. So this will be for the 31st of August, correct?
Yeah. That is our next meeting, right?
Because typically when a bond's issued, you get $7 million. If you have to make your semi-annual interest payments, but that bond balance doesn't go down, it just comes due at the end. So you're proposing that you're gonna pay
we pay it
more,
down,
you're paying it down.
we pay it down through life of the bond.
Okay, that makes me feel more comfortable. I thought you were just, it's gonna be the one at the end.
Like a mortgage.
All right, I'm more comfortable with that then.
Should we put that in the form of a motion that we're gonna have a public hearing so we can actually act on it?
Can we?
I'll make that a
for
motion.
an action item?
Support. Motion by Tanner to have a public hearing the night of the next board meeting, 4 PM, supported by John. Was that John that said it?
Yeah, I think so.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So clarity question, are we still, do we need anything else to make sure I'm on the agenda for the meeting that follows, or for it to be actionable for the meeting that follows?
We'll make sure that it's
Put you on
stated
there
that,
somewhere.
Just making sure.
we'll make sure that it's stated on the agenda item.
Tell us your name again.
My name is Mitch Olson.
Mitch Olson. Thank you.
Well, if you buy dinner that night.
I'll second that.
Okay.
We'll show you a few places in Hurley.
Next, go along with the resolution canceling the tax deed in the city of Hurley.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Motion by Kathy, seconded by Opal. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Now I need a motion to go into closed session, Wisconsin statutes to discuss possible contract with carbon credit project.
So moved.
Bill? Motion by Bill, seconded by Tom.
Tom Thompson?
Tom Thompson. Roll call?
Yeah, I believe so.
Mr. Francis,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Sari,
Yes.